Welcome to Harbor Highlights. Happy Monday. Today we have information about scheduling and some recommended books for Women's History Month.
This and more, so stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Jack.
Hi, I'm Aiden. To start our show, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. By this time, 8th graders should have their classes selected in Infinite Campus. 6th and 7th graders are now starting the process. Here's our counselor to tell you more.
The counselors have visited with all 6th and 7th grade classes, and here's a little overview with Ms. Morales for registration. Where do students go to register?
I'm glad you asked me because this is the year where we are finally rolling out online registration for 6th and 7th graders. 8th graders have been doing it for a while, but now 6th and 7th will use their student portal account to sign in and go ahead and input their class selections for next year.
What are the required classes for 7th grade?
Well, of course, all students will have the 4 core classes in their schedule, but 7th graders in particular do have to sign up for health class. Health is offered in 7th grade and it is required by the state of Michigan. 7th graders who choose not to continue with their music must also enroll in a world language. And so that is a big decision that we encourage students to talk to their families about.
And what are the required 8th grade classes?
All 8th graders must enroll in a world language. So some will have started as 7th graders and some will just be starting as 8th graders, but all 8th graders must enroll in a world language, either French or Spanish.
And what are the 7th grade electives?
All right, so 7th graders, of course, can continue with music. So band, choir, orchestra is available. French and Spanish is available. And then the quarterly electives, the required health class, 2D art, 3D art, physical wellness indoors, physical wellness outdoors, manufacturing technology, and robotics.
What are 8th grade electives?
So 8th graders, again, have the opportunity to continue with their music if they would like to. They will begin working on their world language, so French or Spanish, and then they also have the opportunity to do quarterly electives. So 2D art, 3D art, physical wellness indoors, physical wellness outdoors, flight and space, modular technology, and video productions. Those are the 8th grade quarterly electives.
What should students do if they still have questions?
So all of the materials are available in our counselor's Google Classroom. So first I would direct students to make sure they have looked at those materials, and then they're certainly welcome to email their counselor with specific questions, or they can use the counselor request sign-up form, which again is located in our counselor's Google Classrooms for each grade level.
And what is the due date for the registration?
All course requests need to be entered by April 16th, so you do have a couple weeks to work on this at home with your family and get your questions answered. April 16th will be the deadline.
Thank you, Ms. Morales, for talking to us about course registration for next year, and thank you, Peyton, for recording.
It is very important that you select your 4 required core classes, as well as choosing music, language, health classes, and other electives.
If you need help, please talk to your counselor. These are due after break.
Now over to this week's general announcements.
Thanks, I'm Savannah.
And I'm David. Here are this week's lunch specials. Monday is spicy chicken sandwiches, Bosco sticks. Tuesday is hamburger, chicken nuggets. Wednesday is spicy chicken and Bosco sticks.
Thursday is ham and cheese calzone.
Don't forget to continue to vote for March Book Madness. Closing on the Final Four ends tomorrow night, and March 31st starts the championship voting.
We will announce the winners after break. Group Picture Day was rescheduled to April 19.
We hope you had a chance to watch announcements last week and learn about the Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
As we celebrate Women's History Month, we thought it would be nice to have our librarian, Miss Boston, share some of the books you might want to check out.
Why is reading a great way to celebrate Women's History Month?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, throughout history, women have kind of put up with a lot of nonsense, you might be aware. And even yesterday in the library, for example, I had a student who was kind of like teasing his friend who was a guy, and he called him a lady as an insult. And so even today, we're putting up with some nonsense. So I just want to put it out there. this is why we celebrate this. A lot of times women even get written out of history and we didn't hear those stories. Women contributed to inventing things like Wi-Fi that you use every day, or like Ada Lovelace was one of the first coders. So I think part of it is just understanding that we need to give women credit for the things that they've done and still do every day. And, it's a work in progress for all of us, and this includes guys or non-binary folks as well. If you hear stuff like that, call it out, right? We're still making progress.
What are some nonfiction book recommendations?
Yeah, so I pulled out a couple over here. I know a lot of kids really like the National Geographic books, like the weird ones and stuff like that. We do have a couple, like this book of heroines, and it's just tales from history of really awesome, brave women. We've also got the Book of Queens that talks about legendary leaders throughout history. So those are just kind of fun and good compilations of women. I also pulled out this one called Breaking Through, and this is about how female athletes shattered stereotypes. And it started in the 20s, and back then they didn't even want women playing sports, so they had to really shatter that ceiling to be able to be a part of sports today.
What are some fiction book recommendations?
Yeah, so I had a really hard time choosing because I'm a librarian and that's how I rolled, but I picked out a couple here. This was actually one of the March Book Madness books last year, and it's called Other Words for Home, and it's about Jude, who is a girl growing up in Syria, and her dad ends up sending her and her mom to the United States to live with family when it gets really dangerous there, and her experience being someone from Syria in the United States and what she went through. It's also written in verse, so it's a really quick read. We also have, this is a newer one from this year called From the Desk of Zoe Washington, and Zoe gets a letter on her 12th birthday from her dad, who's been in prison her whole life, and he lets her know that he's actually innocent and didn't commit the crime. So she decides to figure out what actually happened and see if she can get him out of prison. And then Front Desk, if you haven't seen this one, this is by Kelly Yang, and this is about a girl whose family emigrated from China. And they end up working in a motel, and the person who owns the motel is really awful. And anytime they earn money, he kind of finds a way to take it away from them. But she's just this really awesome character that uses her voice to make change when she sees things that aren't right around her. So it's a really great one for people out there that are interested in kind of changing the world.
Who's your favorite woman author and why?
Yeah, you guys keep asking me my favorites, and I can never decide. But it changes all the time with what I'm reading. But one that I'm reading recently it's a book called Truly Devious, and the author is Maureen Johnson. And I really like her writing because she does a good job. Her main character in the story is someone who has anxiety, and she's just she doesn't do well picking up on social cues. So it's really funny the way she writes it with Stevie is the character's name, trying to figure out what people actually mean when they're talking that we might pick up on, but she doesn't. And it's just a really good mystery that I couldn't put down, but it'll probably change with the next one that I read.
It is great that we can celebrate women in our past and present history that continue to overcome challenges to create change.
We can also celebrate great women authors for sharing their amazing stories with us.
Now over to sports.
Thanks, I'm Caleb.
And I'm Gabby. Spring season sports start this week.
For boys tennis and girls soccer, and for boys and girls track and field, pay attention to the daily announcements for your meeting times and location.
We are hopeful that we can continue to compete as we have done all year following the safety guidelines.
Now back to the anchors.
Thanks. Just a reminder for all the current 5th and 6th graders, you are invited to Harbor Highlights Showcase tomorrow, March 30th. To participate in this event,
there will be a live meeting as well as virtual resources to explore what Harbor Lights is all about.
Thanks for helping us stay safe by wearing your mask and social distancing.
Have a great week and great break. See you back April 12th. Thanks for watching. Bye.